All right, what's going on, guys? Dr. Stone, episode 15, the culmination of 2 million years. Let's do it! So the grand bout is effectively in the bag. The remaining contestants are Chrome, Senku, and Ginro. Now, Ginro and Senku are set to fight each other, and basically they tell Kohawk's sister Ruri, hey, we're going to throw the tournament, we're going to allow Chrome to win, and you can get married to him. And she's like, oh, she's kind of playing it nonchalantly, like, oh, it doesn't really matter who I get married to, it's not really a big deal, but Ginro, not the sharpest tool in the shed, doesn't really read between the lines. So he thinks, oh, maybe I can become the chief of the village and I can have Ruri as my wife. So he goes a little crazy here. He goes a little happy. He's like, hey, if I win this grand bout, I can have a harem. I can eat all the ramen I want. I can be a badass. I can be top dog. So I'm going to go for this, man. I'm going to take out Senku. And Chrome's weak from his battle with Magma. And then I'll become the village chief and I'll have Ruri as my wife. And maybe Kohawk is my little side squeeze. So him and Senku are fighting and, Ginro's going all crazy. And Senku's like, oh, damn it, what am I gonna do? I can't really beat him. I'm not really that strong. And he's just a madman. So Chrome throws the helmet, Suika's helmet, over to him. And Senku uses a wooden spear on the ground and the helmet to create a seesaw, basically. And he steps on one side, the other side goes flinging up right into Ginro's nuts. Gives him a little bit of jingle bells, and that is that. He is no longer able to have children. But Senku wins the match, and then Senku's like, okay, good. Now it's me and Chrome. I'm going to purposely lose to Chrome so that he can become the village chief and finally marry Ruri, just like he envisioned in his childhood. Unfortunately, Chrome is physically and mentally exhausted with his battle with Magma. So he's in no condition to fight, let alone stand up. He's essentially passed out at this point. And because he can't even stand up, they have to, by default, give the match to Senku. So he becomes the village chief, and by default, he's going to be Ruri's husband. And as a celebration, the various villagers want to go drinking. They're like, hey, let's have a feast, let's get drunk, it's tradition. And Senku's not really interested. He's like, you know what, Ruri, I like you and everything, but, kind of got my eye on Kohawk, and I just need the alcohol for the antibiotic, so see ya, we're divorced. And after that, they start making the antibiotic. They go through all the steps. We find out it's like 25 steps, and they go through that, and in the process, Senku's also making carbonated water, and Gen's like, ooh, wait a minute, carbonated water can be used to make soda. So is Senku finally going to give me my soda that I desired for so long? And then when he gives Senku the carbonated water, he's like, oh, so what's this for? And he's like, oh, I just need it for sodium bicarbonate so I can make the antibiotic. He's like, oh, you fuck! Where's my fucking soda? But after the whole antibiotic process is over, Gen goes back into one of the huts and he finds his cola, so now he's all happy. And then they take the sulfa-antibiotic to Kohawk's sister, Ruri. Now they give her the antibiotic, which is kind of comical because they got this white little powder on a leaf, and she's kind of like on her knees, and Senku's just kind of like feeding her this white powder. And I'm like, this kind of looks a bit sexual in a way. But anyway, they give her the white powder, the sulfa-antibiotic, and at first, she's actually getting worse. So she starts to cough, she's lying on the ground, she's spitting up blood, and Senku basically deduces from there that it's pneumonia. Now, he's not a doctor, he doesn't have any sort of blood test, so he can't verify that for sure, But, he finds rats in the area as well, and he finds out, through his various experiments, he finds out it's pneumonia. I don't know how true that is without, blood tests, if you could actually determine that is actually pneumonia. Maybe he's just using all the clues from what he knows back in his time. And then, so he just says, hey, don't worry about it. Let's just give her more sulfa-antibiotic. Eventually, this is going to pass. And I gotta say, when Ruri was coughing up the blood and it looked like she was getting worse, I was wondering at first, because you hear a lot of stories nowadays where people get a sulfa-antibiotic and they have allergic reactions. So I was kind of wondering, is Ruri allergic to sulfa? Is that why she's having this negative reaction? And then is Senku going to have to find a different way to cure her? Is he going to have to develop a different antibiotic? But that didn't turn out to be the case. It was just he had to give her more antibiotic over the days, and eventually she got better. And everyone in the village is happy. She's finally back to being a normal girl who can run around and be happy. She's not always sick and depressed. So that's a nice little touching moment. And then the episode ends where Ruri and Quahog's father makes Senku the village chief, and he's like, you're the village chief of Ishigami Village. I believe that's what it was called, Ishigami. I'm not looking at my computer at the moment, so forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. And Senku gives a look of disbelief, a look of bewilderment, like, Ishigami? What the heck? And it turns out, right as the episode ends, Ruri walks up to Senku and she's like, I knew all this time you were Ishigami Senku. So, how does she know what his real name is? And why is that village named after him? So that's really interesting. I'm fascinated to see how that all kind of ties in together. Now, in terms of the good and the bad, obviously the jokes are still very childish at this episode. Ginro's antics during the grand bout weren't really entertaining. The grand bout itself was kind of artificial tension in a way. They tried to make it seem like, Ginro wants to get married, he's an idiot. So now we got this new little problem that we gotta get through. Senku's gotta beat Ginro. So basically the grand bout that was already effectively in the bag, they tried to set up a situation in which the tournament felt real again, and it felt like there was still something to fight for. But really, at the end of the day, I mean, we all know the tournament was over. Ruri was going to get the antibiotic, and everything was all going to be well. So it's very predictable. The jokes are childish, and the humor's not very good. In terms of the good, I mean, I gotta say, the moment where Ruri got better was a nice touching moment, because we're on episode 15, and it feels like for a very long time now, at least 8 or 9 episodes, we've seen Ruri in this very depressed, sick state where she can't really do much. She's always just kind of sitting in the hut in the village. So it was kind of nice to see the jubilation in her face when she finally got better, and everyone in the village was so enamored and happy for her. So that was a nice moment, but overall, I would say it was a very mediocre to bad episode. I am very fascinated to see why the village is named after Senku and how Ruri knows who Senku really is. So we'll have to see how that all ties in together. We still don't know what's going on with Taiju and Yuzuraha in Shishio's camp, so it'd be nice maybe at some point if we could get a little bit of insight, especially with the grand bout being over, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that's all I really got to say for this week, guys. Until next time, catch you on the flip side.